Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Behind the Grind, where we critique and review your favorite video games. So, with the Game of the Year nominations finally revealed, I was glad to see Space Marine 2 nominated in the categories of Best Action Game and Best Multiplayer. I have some thoughts about these nominations, so I figured I'd turn on the mic and start yapping away. So, as we begin, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel as it helps out tremendously, and I greatly appreciate all the support. So, let's just dive into this. Before we get started, I'd like to address those that say, well, why do you care about the Game of the Year awards? Well, it's the biggest event in the video game industry, and it's supposed to represent what we as gamers love about video games and what we want to see for the future. But of course, that's not necessarily communicated in the best way, especially when our vote doesn't really matter as compared to the jury. So, of course, we're going to care. These are our favorite video games, supposedly, but let's just get into this. So, in best multiplayer, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 really stands no chance here. In my personal opinion, either Super Mario Party Jamboree or Black Ops 6 is going to take this. As usual, Call of Duty tends to take this every year, and if we're going off the basis of Space Marine 2's multiplayer being the Eternal War mode, as you guys know, if you've seen my previous videos, Space Marine 2 really doesn't stand a chance here in absolutely any way. Eternal War is trash. You got 3 maps and you got 3 multiplayer modes, barely any customization. Like when you put Black Ops 6 and Space Marine 2 in toe to toe, like it's easy. Like Black Ops 6, I don't even play Call of Duty. I hate Call of Duty and I haven't bought Black Ops 6 yet. And I already know that Black Ops 6 is most likely going to take this category just because you can have your own personal feelings about Call of Duty and whether you like it or not, but they tend to deliver when it comes to multiplayer. It's always the biggest game of the year. And honestly, Space Marine 2 is just not going to take this award. If it does, I'm going to be very surprised, but as it's looking, it's probably not going to happen. So don't get your hopes up too high. But as we roll into Best Action Game, it's a little different. I really love this lineup here. We have Black Myth Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Space Marine 2. With the exception of Black Ops 6, this is my personal Game of the Year list. Every single game here is one of the greats, and I was surprised to only see Black Myth Wukong up there when it came to Game of the Year. Now, I personally haven't played Balatro or Metaphor Refantasio, but I've seen a lot of discourse online that this is the actual Game of the Year list. And, I can agree with everything on here, of course, with the exception of Black Ops 6. So, honestly, I can see any of these games winning Best Action Game of the Year. I personally would like to see either Space Marine 2, Helldivers 2, or Stellar Blade win this. However, I think Space Marine 2 is standing on some really good ground here. When it comes to Black Myth Wukong, I don't want it to win into this category because I personally want Wukong to win Best Game of the Year. I can't really talk much on Black Ops 6. Helldivers 2 is a different story, though. I really love Helldivers 2. It's a great game. However, I don't think it really stands on that much ground to take this category because the action in that game is good, it's consistent, and it's great, but it's really not as much as you get out of something like Space Marine 2. Stellar Blade, on the other hand, I just feel like Stellar Blade got wronged here. It doesn't feel like it belonged in this category. In my own opinion, I believe Stellar Blade should be up there in the Game of the Year nominations next to all the other great games. Just take out Shadow of the Erdtree and replace it with Stellar Blade. That's what I personally would have done. I think I'm going to make a video talking about that because that's really not sitting well with me. But Space Marine 2, anybody who's played Space Marine 2 just knows that this game is an absolute banger. And when it comes to action, this is this is the best action game of the year. I don't care what anybody has to say. When you're playing through operations with your buddies or even playing through the campaign, I'm not talking about Eternal War mode here because I don't care about Eternal War. I haven't played it in like 2 months. But when it comes to operations and campaign, the combat and the action is just nonstop, just killing hordes of Tyranid enemies or shooting shit up against 1,000 suns. This is the pinnacle of action video game playability. So my closing thoughts when it comes to this is I don't think Space Marine 2 is going to win best multiplayer. I mean, that's just obvious. You're not going to beat Black Ops 6. Call of Duty takes the damn award every single year. And when it comes to best action game, like I said, man, any one of these games could take it, but I think Space Marine 2 is really cooking here, and they do stand a pretty good chance to take this award. But even if they don't, I'm happy as a Space Marine fan because at least we got nominated in some of these categories. So me personally, I think that's good enough. I mean, definitely you got to be a pretty good game with the exception of Star Wars Outlaws or Dragon Age the Veilguard to even get a nomination to begin with. So I think even if Space Marine 2 doesn't win, hey man, at least we got to see it here. So go cast your votes. Not that it's going to mean a lot, but yeah, hopefully we see Space Marine 2 take some awards this year. So this video comes to an end, man. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel as it does help out tremendously. I just hit 50 subscribers the other day. We're already halfway to 100, so we're just going to keep this thing going and grinding. And with that said, this has been Behind the Grind. I'll catch you in the next one.